O.M.A.C. number 5, written by Dan DiDio and Jeff Lemire and Keith Giffen, who also did the art. We left off last issue with just a whole big fight scene with crocodile sewer gators, and then the reveal that Frankenstein is in this issue. And wouldn't you know it, Frankenstein is in this issue. We pick up with Checkmate, who is co-liaisoning with Shade, who, if you're not reading the Frankenstein series, is their whole thing. I'm just going to assume you're reading the Frankenstein series with me, so I'm just going to skip over half this backstory here. But basically, Father Time runs Shade, and Checkmate asks for help in taking down O.M.A.C, and they send Frankenstein, because Frankenstein just seems to be the general enforcer for Shade. And he's not happy with Checkmate, but they're doing this interdepartmental thing, so whatever. So then we cut back to Cadmus, and we immediately get Kevin Coe, who's just being subjected to the whole, okay, Kevin, what would you say you do here at Cadmus? Because we're looking to trim some fat. And Kevin's like, I'm sorry, who are you? And she gives a whole name, but I doubt she's ever going to be important. Her name's Leilani Lugo, in case it is. But she walks away, and Kevin's like, oh, God, this is the last thing I need. And also, she just threatened to get me fired. So he goes out to a break. And him and Brother Eye just have this brief conversation about Kevin's problem with authority. But then he just goes and get a hot dog. And apparently this is his regular hot dog place he does like every day at the same time. And Kevin's just talking to the hot dog guy like, man, doesn't it feel like these problems just come in like clusters? Hot dog guy runs off. Kevin looks up as Brother Eye tells him to. And he sees Frankenstein literally about to drop down on top of him. He does his own activate thing, turns into O.M.A.C. And apparently they had like trace on his energy, and that's how Frankenstein was able to find him. I don't know. Regardless, they get into a fight scene, and Brother Eye's like, I didn't think that Checkmate would ever work with Shade, and I didn't think they could get your energy signature that soon. Both things, my bad. Anyway, go ahead and start fighting with Frankenstein, because he's kind of a big deal. But yeah, you're O.M.A.C, so just deal with it. So they just have an extended fight scene, and I'll only chime in with it when it becomes important. But they just keep fighting, and Frankenstein keeps saying like, "Wow, you're tough, but you need to go down now." And O.M.A.C's like, "Roar," and that's basically it. The rest of this is that basically Brother Eye is like, "Oh, well, I could use this to get into Shade's networks, which would really be beneficial for me." So every closed window is an open door, or whatever it's called. So he tries to hack into their stuff, but Father Time and the other Shade people were like, okay, well, I mean, we can. It sucks that Checkmate didn't tell us about Brother Eye, but we can deal. So they're trying to like shut down their stuff so they can talk to Brother Eye but not be hacked by them, and also maybe get some intel from Brother Eye if they can. And it's basically just a big game of chess between them back and forth of trying to figure out like, oh, well, I've already closed my network, so you can't get me. And it's like, but we've sent robots in order to hack into you. Well, I've absorbed the robots, so they can't do that. And it's just them going back and forth, essentially ending up in a stalemate where nobody's able to do anything. So that was pretty much useless. There is one thing I want to talk about right here during the fight between Frankenstein and O.M.A.C, and there's this really actually decent looking 2-page spread of Frankenstein and O.M.A.C fighting. There is, however, no like sound effect on the page, no like crackoom or wham or whatever. There is, however, an editor's note that says, editor's note, add any sound effect you want. I'm sitting back and enjoying this epic battle. Written by Harv. Do your job, Harv. Come on. Alright, so anyway, Brother Eye realizes like, oh, okay, I think Frankenstein might have actually been a little bit above your pay grade, and also we're attracting some unwanted attention. So we're just going to teleport you out of here. Okay, cool, bye. So he teleports him out of there. He wakes up in the men's room back in Cadmus, and he sees that he teleported out of there with Frankenstein's arm, which sufficiently freaks him out. But Brother Eye's like, don't worry about it. I did a little bit of snooping on the Shade networks, and apparently Frankenstein can get multiple arms, so no big deal. Anyway, back to work. And then we cut for one page down to deep beneath Cadmus, where we've already seen this huge lab from issue 1. But apparently the people who are working in there of Makari and the Grand Director are working to take down Checkmate and make their own thing, which I feel like is new, but I genuinely can't remember. But hey, it's a thing. And they're like, Zero Patient is almost ready, and when it is, it will be more than a match for Checkmate, Brother Eye, and the Beast O.M.A.C. And when they fall, the Genesis technology will be ours. Anyway, if you're actually interested in where this crossover ends up, the next issue of this is going to be Frankenstein #5, so be sure to check out that episode if you weren't for some reason. But yeah, next issue for this one is Kevin Spends a Night at the Zoo, which I'm so checked out on this book. I cannot express how much I just don't care. But none of this feels like it matters at all, because every time he gets into a tiny bit of trouble, he just teleports out, and no movement has been made in any sense of the plot. Brother Eye is still just trying to hack into places. Things are trying to take out Brother Eye, and then nothing ever changes. I'm so bored with this book. Do something, please, for the love of God. Anyway, in terms of a standalone issue, I really like Frankenstein, and I feel like Jeff Lemire had some writing credit in terms of the voice of Frankenstein, and I think that's what bumps it up a little bit. So I'm going to give this one a 6. I think it's good. I think it's a good but flawed issue, and that the flaw being is that it's part of O.M.A.C. instead of part of Frankenstein. But hey, I can only complain for a few more weeks, and then I get to read the stunning conclusion.